And now that leads me up to our mission moment for the morning, and we have a member of our finance committee to come and speak to us, and that's Fred Schunmann. Fred?
Good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you see me?
Yes.
Isn't that wonderful? Here we are in this beautiful sanctuary this morning, and we can hear and we can see each other. And we all slept in a warm bed last night. We probably all had breakfast this morning and came dressed in our best finery. Just another day in paradise? Just another Sunday at St. Paul's? Do we forget this is the blessings of God? Do we just take things for granted all the time? See, God's provided us with all of these things. We came into the world with nothing. We're leaving with nothing. But He's asked us to do something while we're here. He's asked us to return 10% to Him to spread His love through the world with our finances. When you talk about money, some people say, oh, the church always wants money. Well, the church always wants money. There's nothing free in the world except the grace of God. Everything else has to be paid for. I think the problem with giving is that when you go to the gas station, or you go to the supermarket, you go to the movies, you go to a restaurant, and you pay something, you get something in return. And I think a lot of people don't feel like when they come to church on Sunday and they put their money in the offering, that they get anything for it. And that's not true. This is to return to God for all the blessings that He's given us. Now, St. Paul's is at a crossroad. With the budget that the Finance Committee has figured out for 2017, our level of giving today will not take care of it. So we've got to make a decision. We've either cut out ministries or raise our giving. Now, the problem with cutting out the ministries is there's certain operational expenses that have to be paid anyway. So if we're going to cut, we have to cut to our missions to people less fortunate than ourselves. Now, over the last couple of months, every Sunday you've heard a little talk about where your money goes, what's it good for. It would be a sin not to be able to carry that on. I think we can raise our giving. I think everybody in this congregation today could up your giving for 2017. But if you think about that, if you feel you're being pushed into that, somebody's putting a gun to your head or twisting your arm to give more money, it's not going to work. It'll be like a New Year's resolution, be put by the wayside. There's three things that you have to do if you want to increase your pledge. The first thing is it has to come from your heart. You cannot feel forced to give. You have to want to do it as a good Christian. And if you make that decision, then you have to have a game plan. You have to sit down for an entire month and record all of the money that comes into you. If you're working, your salary, pension, Social Security, dividends, investment, all the money that comes in, and have to record where it's going. You've got things on the checkbook and all the debit cards and that. The thing you need to really look at is the money that you spend out of your pocket every week. Now, if you smoke, you're not going to quit smoking and give $5,000 more to the church next year. That's just not going to happen. If you go out every Friday or Saturday night for dinner, you're not going to stop that. But maybe you can consider staying home one weekend a month and making hot dogs and beans and putting that $40 or $50 into your pledge. It's like cigarettes. I think they're like around $10 a carton. So if you could smoke one less pack of cigarettes a week, that's 3 cigarettes a day. That's $5,000 a year. And so forth and so on. Now, if you do this, if you sit down and you record all your expenses and all your income, and you say, I don't have an extra 10 cents, then I'd like you to do something on faith. For a few years, St. Paul's did not pay our apportionments 100%. The finance committee made a decision that they would. They did not have the giving level at the time to make that decision, but they did make the decision on faith. And we have not failed yet. I would ask you to consider raising your pledge or giving next year at $1 a week. Now, that's not a lot of money. It's $50 a year. But you've heard the expression, every little bit helps. And the last thing you got to do, the third thing you got to do, is to talk to God. You have to pray to God. You have to ask God to help you, to guide you, to encourage you. Because if you don't, it's not going to work. Now, unfortunately, in the last couple months, you've heard a lot of verbiage about the Schunmanns. The Schunmann's doing this. The Schunmann's doing that. Jean and I have not done any of that. That's God's blessing. God has given us all of these things for our use and our enjoyment. All he wants is our love. I don't know how he does it, but God picks people to write the checks for him because he can't write checks. And I got to tell you, if you ever get selected to write checks for God, you better get yourself tied on. You are going into a whirlwind. He will test your faith. He will ask you to do some things that you think are utterly impossible. And he never fails. Never, ever, ever fails. He's behind you every step of the way. Now, I know a lot of you people that know us are saying, Freddie, that's okay. That's all well and done. You're rich, and we're struggling to pay our bills day to day. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I wasn't always rich. I'm like most of you. I came into the world with nothing. And I hope I'm going home with nothing. I know I'm not going with that silver spoon in my mouth because I never had one. I want to talk about richness. I am rich with my family. I am rich with all my friends. I am rich with my health. I am rich with all the blessings that the Lord has given me. Now, financially, I'm overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed what the Lord has put in my hands to serve him. I'll tell you the day that I became rich, really rich. That's the day that Jesus Christ became my best friend. Talk to God. Ask for his support. He will guide you. He's already told us, my grace is sufficient for thee. Thank you.